Think we're live.
Take starting. Blake, am
Hi,
Mama, sorry.
I'm just joining. How are you?
Mama said, is he's the mother. Mom,
Blake, you're on mute. Are
Mom!
Yeah, Mary, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Mary Ignatius. I am the Executive Director of Parent Voices California. I'm so excited to be in this Zoom room with friends and allies, and so excited to, even though I can't see you, to all of our friends who are watching on Facebook Live, please share this live video because we want to make sure all families in California know the incredible win that we achieved that went into effect just yesterday, October 1st. So what am I talking about? Starting October 1st, families who are part of California's subsidized childcare system are now going to experience a transformed family fee system. The majority of families who receive subsidized childcare will now have no fees. They woke up today and there were no fees. For the families where fees will be charged, it will only be capped at 1% of your monthly income. And we have guests who are going to really break that down and explain what that looks like. But what I want everybody to really understand is this is an idea sparked by families who dealt with these fees, these unaffordable family fees for years. And they had to make tremendous sacrifices in order to pay these fees, because if they didn't pay the fees, they couldn't keep their childcare. And so just hearing from all of our members, we decided we needed to do something about it. At the same, like that was September 2019. Then the pandemic hit and the federal government actually gave states the opportunity to waive those fees. But they were temporary. They lasted, those fee waivers lasted till September 30th, 2023. And so we had to come together and work with our union partners at Child Care Providers United, our ECE advocate partners, our legislative partners who we'll hear from next, and other state and federal administrators who really helped us come up with and win a new system so that we could make sure families who could not afford these fees would not have to pay them. And that's what we're celebrating today. I had an idea of like playing some music, but then we were afraid that our live stream would get shut down. But for those of us who are on screen, if we could just, you know, do a woohoo, like this is amazing, this is thousands of dollars that is going to stay in the pockets of hardworking families who need every single dollar, that they need to keep every single dollar for their families. So we want to celebrate. We are going to hear from our Assembly member, Eloise Gomez-Reyes. We're going to hear from our friends at the California Budget and Policy Center, who will break down what families are going to be receiving. Then we're going to hear from families themselves, families who woke up today benefiting from these changes, as well as somebody who played a senator at our May Stand for Children rally, who's 9 years old. And our partners, Miren, one of our child care providers. We're going to hear from Director Kim Johnson from the Department of Social Services. And then we'll be here to answer questions that families may have. So whether you're watching on Facebook or you're here in the Zoom, please post your questions in the chat. We want to hear from you. So we have a lot to do in 1 hour, but we'll start by inviting our incredible champion, Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez-Reyes, the Majority Leader Emeritus. She represents San Bernardino County We are so lucky that she is in Sacramento. She's supported our Billion for Babies campaign, and now we have almost 200,000 children who are going to get off of the childcare waiting list in the next couple of years. And she's been our family fee champion for the last 4 years, because even though you want change to happen, it doesn't happen right away. You need strong legislative champions who are going to help you get it across the finish line, and you need to be persistent and not give up. And so we are so grateful to have the Assemblywoman here with us, and we would just, want to hear from you what your experience was like, why this was meaningful to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. You, Parent Voices, the parents, just thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos. I'm Assemblymember Eloise Gomez-Reyes, as Mary mentioned, and I represent the 50th Assembly District, which includes the communities here in the Inland Empire. It's such an honor to be here with you today, even if it's virtually, to celebrate the new equitable family fee system. And yes, it just went into effect yesterday. And hopefully by the first time you get your bill, you'll realize what a wonderful gift this is. I want to formally thank Parent Voices and formally thank Mary and all the parents who have worked so hard to make this new fee schedule possible. I'm proud to have partnered with you in this effort. I'm so grateful for the partnership of Senator Monique Limon and all of our legislative colleagues. As many of you know, the Women's Caucus, our budget chairs, and our legislative leadership all prioritized this issue. And because we all did, we got it done, especially with everybody who's on this call. You're right, Mary, it took 4 years for us to finally reach a long-term solution to keep childcare affordable for families. We've come a long way over the past 4 years, and I want to reflect on that. When we first started, there were some people who didn't even know what a family fee was. And I'm talking about some people in the legislature. Many of you who are on this Zoom shared your stories over and over again to educate the representatives, your representatives, and my colleagues on why a new equitable fee schedule was necessary. I know you know this, but I just want you to know that you've played such a critical role in making sure that your voices were heard, because your voices are so important in this effort. En español, quiero decirles que estoy muy orgullosa de todo lo que hemos logrado juntas y juntos. Sus voces han sido muy importantes en este esfuerzo. Now, addressing issues that exist in our child care and early education system continues to be a top priority for me, and I'll continue to work with all of you as we progress. Again, I want to appreciate your partnership. I look forward to all that we will accomplish in the future to ensure that our families are supported and that our youngest children have exactly what they need to succeed. Thank you so much for having me here with you today.
We are so lucky to have had you being our partner. Little hand waves for the Assemblywoman. It's because of members and legislators like Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez-Reyes. Other states across the nation, those waivers really did expire on September 30th. There are a couple of other states that were able to keep things going, but it really takes strong parent organizing, labor organizing, state legislators, state administrators, everybody working together. And so we're so fortunate. And the thing is the work isn't done, right? Childcare providers are still having a hard time going to sleep at night because wages are still low, doors, they're trying to keep their doors open. So we need to continue to work with members like you, the Legislative Women's Caucus, and we need all the parents and providers to keep organizing, keep joining us, because the work isn't done.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay. All right, so next we are going to invite Dr. Laura Pryor from the California Budget and Policy Center and her colleague Eric Sacedo. They are extraordinary partners. They really understand how to work with community and lift up community, and make sure the data that you were able to, develop is really centered in the needs of families. So we really, truly appreciate your partnership, and you're going to help us understand what all of this means. You're going to give us the numbers.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you all for inviting us to your celebration this evening. As Mary mentioned, my name is Laura Pryor, and I'm here with my colleague Eric Saucedo. We are with the California Budget and Policy Center, and we are very excited to share some of the facts and figures about how much California parents will be saving in family fees starting yesterday, as Mary mentioned. So we'll go through some of the key points that we think all of you might be interested in, but feel free to ask us any questions toward the end of our event if there's anything you'd like to know that we did not share in this presentation. Also, all of this information can be found in a short report on our website, and we will drop the links to those reports in the chat at some point during this presentation. So with that, let's get to it. Next slide. So first, we want to start by highlighting that families below 75% of the state median income no longer pay a family fee. So what this slide shows you is what 75% of the state median income amounts to for different family sizes. So what this means is that for a family of two that makes less than $64,885 per year will no longer have to pay family fees. So we can now move to the Spanish language slide for additional points. So here I want to highlight that a family of three that makes less than $73,382 per year will no longer pay family fees. And the same is true for a family of four making less than $84,969 per year, and a family of five that makes less than $98,564 per year. So we're very excited to share these amounts so you know if you're a family of the sizes that you see here in this chart making less than the annual salary that you see in the corresponding row, you will no longer have to pay a family fee. Next slide. Secondly, we want to point out that families that are at 75% of the state median income and higher will have their fees capped at 1% of their annual income. So this table shows the percent of income spent on family fees for both that original schedule, so before all of the hard work around family fee reform was enacted in this year's Budget Act, and the new schedule that just came out and started yesterday that caps fees at 1%. So specifically, using the original family fee schedule, a family of two would spend about 10% of their income on family fees. This is now only 1%. So as family size gets larger, this percentage decreases slightly. And we can now move to the Spanish language slide for additional takeaways. So namely, with the new family fee schedule, in some cases, families will recoup nearly 10% of their annual income. We know that this will make a tremendous difference for so many of California's families. So I'll now pass the mic to my colleague Eric to share more about exactly how much families will be saving under this new schedule.
Thank you so much, Laura. And again, thank you all for inviting us to your great celebration. Excited to be in this space. So here, just to put a few more dollar figures into what this means. So here we have a table showing the amount in savings for a family of two earning between 40% and 85% of the state median income. So if you look at so let me clarify one thing. So the savings here reflect full-time care, just to make sure that that's stated before I continue. So here the savings reflect the difference in fees between the schedule that was in place before the reform compared to what's in place now. So if we look here at, for example, 40% to 44% SMI, which is around $34,000 and $38,000 a year. Annual fees translate that to between $864 and $1,908. And to give you another example, let me move over here to 75% to 79%, which is when you start paying fees, as Laura mentioned earlier. And again, that's around 65,000 to, where's 79? 65,000 to around 68,000 a year. The savings in fees are around 6,660 and 6,550 annually. So imagine what, you know, families can purchase with these savings throughout a year, especially thinking about the needs that families have, you know, increasing rent payments, food, diapers, so many things that families could afford to buy with these savings in from these family fees. So I'm going to show you then a chart that shows you that it's basically the same information, just showing you the amount in fees per year. So let me open up my link here really quick. And this is linked in the piece that we're going to share with you shortly. So in this chart, you can kind of toggle between the different percentages of state median income. For example, if we look here at 40%, you see that it shows a 0 in fees because, you know, at 40%, you wouldn't pay any fees. And then you toggle over to, for example, 75, you can start seeing here what that fee means annually. So for a family at 75% of the state median income, the annual fee is $648, which equates to about, let me see, 75%, which equates to about $54 a month in fees for a family at that level of income. And then if we scroll over to a family earning 85% of the state median income, the annual fees are around $734, which equates to about $61 a month. And we also have this same chart in Spanish for families that might find that useful. And that's also linked in the piece. So Laura is going to share a link. I think she shared it already, to the piece where we have it both in English and Spanish, where we show the amount in fees, you know, comparing the original schedule prior to the reform, and then what it means now with the new schedule. If you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out. If anything of this is not clear or you have any specific questions for us, here's our contact info. Feel free to reach out whenever, and we'll do our best to reply as soon as we can. And with that, I'll pass it back to Mary.
Wow. It's like, you know, it's one thing to say something like, you know, 75% of SMI and 85% of SMI and 1% and all these, like, just throwing these numbers out. But when you see it in the chart, you know, $4,000 a year, $7,000 a year, that stays in the pockets of families to decide for yourself what you need to use that money for. And we know it's, you know, it's going right back into your families, it's going right back into your communities and into the economy. You have financial freedom to decide what's best for you. And it just feels amazing to be a part of this. So just thank you, Laura and Eric, for partnering with us and sharing all that amazing information. So now we are going to move to our panel of distinguished guests. They are the heart and soul of the movement, and they're the ones who really brought this campaign to life because they, you know, took days off from school or from work to come and testify at hearings. They got on buses or planes or trains or cars to get to Sacramento and tell and explain and educate our legislators and administrators about what family fees really are. And so we're going to have Esperanza from Sonoma, Karina from Sonoma, we have Monica Mackay from San Diego, I believe Valerie from San Mateo will join us, and Miren from San Diego. So with Childcare Providers United. All right, there's our friends. It's good to see your faces. So I wanted to start with Esperanza. Like today is day 2. Tell us how this family fee, like how these changes are going to help your family, and like what were the sacrifices you had to make before, and what are the ones that you don't have to make now?
Well, I have a son, he's 2. Sacrifice that I would have had to make if the family fees came in, I wouldn't graduate this year. With my last class left, I would have had to put that on hold until he went to kinder, or what is it, pre-K? They have that now. So, that's one of my biggest things, is that this year, with God behind me in statistics, I'll be able to, have my degree. So that's not going to be on hold for the next 3 years. So that's a plus. So I'll be able to make better money than what I've been actually through my whole life. So that's a plus for me. So it helps, don't have to pick and choose which bill to pay, or, split the bills in certain, with the gas, and with gas literally and food going up, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how we would be able to eat or, even go to school driving, besides taking public transportation and things like that. So
And you
that's
call
rough.
that the catch. What do you call that? The catch-22, right?
I call it the catch-22 because you're either make you make a cent over and you're just stuck, and it's really hard to live that way. I had to live that way years ago with my daughter, and then if I didn't pay the daycare for her, I couldn't take her to daycare until I was paid up, or possible of losing her spot. So I know the feeling of not paying bills just to keep my child in daycare or the after school program. So she wasn't old enough to stay home by herself. So, and being a single parent, it's not really fun to leave your kids alone when they're not old enough to do that. So there's other repercussions that come with that. So I don't have to do that with Ezekiel.
Yeah.
So I'm
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, well,
I'm
and
happy.
that's the thing also is, for a lot of the families, their kids have grown up. They felt that pain and knew how hard it was, but they were able to use their stories to make the change for the families who are coming after them too. And that's like part of your legacy, is all of the families coming after you who aren't going to have to know what that struggle is. So
Yeah. And I'm glad I don't have to live in the catch-22 anymore.
yeah.
It makes life a lot easier and less stressful. My kids aren't stressed either. So, if mom's stressed, kids are stressed. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Karina, do you want to tell us a little bit, like how much would you be paying in fees this month, and what it was like to participate in this campaign?
Yes. Karina, you say, or?
Yes,
Okay.
Karina, yeah.
So this month, if the fee wouldn't pass, I would have paid like more than 500, around $600. But today I received a message from my children's school, and I'm gonna pay $29.
Wow.
So, oh my God, I'm so happy that $20 is nothing compared to $600.
Yeah. $29. That's crazy. Sorry, I'm messing with my lighting here. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, keep going. So what was it like that you went to Sacramento? What was it like going there and telling your story, talking to legislators?
So it was my first experience speaking in public. And when I hear that I have to pay more than $600 a month, I was like, oh my God, I have 3 kids. I'm full-time student. I'm legally blind, and I just wanna get a living, get a better life, because I don't wanna spend living in with my Social Security with $1,000 a month. I wanna get out from poverty. And the only way, it was my education. And I'm educating myself to get a better life. But I was like, oh my God, these fees, it's like keeping me in poverty, and I wanna do something. And when Parent Voices tell me about if I can go to Sacramento and say my story, I was like, yes, I wanna do it. And I was nervous, and I didn't wanna go and speak in public, but I was like, you know what? These people have to know my story so they can do something about it. Because if we don't speak, they don't know our story, they don't know our lives, because obviously they have better opportunities than people who come from poverty. Because I'm coming from a low economic background, and I just want to move on and have a better life for my family. And I'm willing to advocate with Parent Voices with these family fees. And that's why I'm so happy that I met this organization, Parent Voices, and I'm so thankful because now I don't have to stress. And you know, I'm continuing my education, and next year I'm gonna get my BA in sociology.
Yes, that is so wonderful. And that's the other thing is like, there are going to be all these families being able to finish school, be the first in their family to go to school, whatever it is, finish GEDs, AAs, BAs, masters, PhDs, like across the state, because they don't have to choose, like Esperanza said, the catch-22 between the childcare they need and the school and the dreams they want to achieve. And that's just so wonderful. Wonderful, Karina, gracias. Valerie, you know, you've been part of Parent Voices for a really long time, participated, you were a Stanford Children MC, and then you had a young baby, and now you're back at work. And so I think you like got a letter and realized that we won the Family Fee campaign that you've been part of. So tell us about that and what this means to your family.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership, and Jennifer, you guys really have made my life much more manageable. And I agree with the parents just about getting out of poverty, having access to higher education, improving the quality of life for ourselves and for our children. This has really been an ongoing struggle for me, you know, and I think many of our parents, because we have multiple children, we kind of relive the trauma of having to choose between working and leaving our children at home, or leaving them, you know, or paying too much money for childcare and not having enough to actually feed our family. And so just having access to childcare has allowed me to go back to work. Like, I was at home during the COVID pandemic. And as many of you all know, in the Parent Voices family, I had postpartum depression. I was at home with 3 children with no income, and it was a struggle mentally, financially, socially, in so many ways. And now I'm back to work. My son has a high quality childcare that is, you know, affordable. And thanks to the family fee, like, I don't have to pay for any childcare other than the extended care that I need sometimes to, you know, prepare meals for my older children. But I really appreciate, you guys have been more than a blessing. And just in terms of getting parents out of poverty, I'm a single parent, so I know what the struggle is, especially if you don't have a lot of family to help, you know, take care of the children when you go to work. There's always that feeling of guilt. And so I can go to work guilt-free. So thank you. It makes a huge difference. And with the cost of gas and food, like this is really a lifesaver for many of us, for all of us. So thank you.
Valerie, thank you. And thank you for mentioning, you know, postpartum depression and mental health and what these fees and all, like, just the cost of living, the stress that puts on families. and then the guilt that comes with it. And I just hope for the thousands of families across California who are going to benefit from this. This is one less thing off their plate and reduces that stress, brings peace, brings stability, because you deserve it, you earned it, you fight every day for it. And I'm just so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's bring in Makai, who's been very patient, listening intently to everybody who has already spoken. He was our senator at our Stand for Children Day rally, because we had 5 youth represent senators and show us in the people's hearing how they would make decisions. And Makai, you talked about what it would, what you would do with your power if you were a senator. So, you were a senator, you helped participate and win these fees for family, like get rid of these fees for families. How does that make you feel to be a part of that?
It makes me feel great because since I'm a child myself, it also can help my life and my children when I grow up. Because that's right. And also makes it easier for my mom and me to have more fun, because I like that.
That's right. That's right. And they are kids just like you who are going to
But we
benefit.
can save more money for food of our family, and we can do more things that we cannot do before, because she had to go to work so much. I was left alone in the house so much.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That this change is multi-generational, right? It helps the families, it helps the kids, it helps our caregivers who support us, and it helps them have a better life. And last night, I think you said it made you feel like, who did it make you feel like you were?
It made me feel like either an original senator, or it actually made me feel like a president, because I'm making decisions that help people throughout California. But the actual presidents sometimes doesn't make the best laws. So we have to replace those laws with good laws that will help townspeople or everyone in California.
That you are so right. And I think one day we all may be voting for you as a senator or a president. I definitely see that in your future. Thank you, Makai. Let's bring in our beloved childcare providers, because the CCPU, the Childcare Providers Union, was fighting for family fees just as much as they were fighting for rate increases, and we were fighting for family fees and rate increases too. We were fighting for each other. And Miren is a family childcare business owner for a long time and serves families with subsidies. So we wanted to make sure we heard from the provider perspective, because it was also really important to us that the law made sure that we kept childcare provider payments whole, that if we were waiving these family fees or eliminating these family fees, then we didn't want that to impact providers negatively. So the money that's in the budget every year also makes sure providers are paid their full rate. So we're super happy about that too. Miren, do you want to tell us how the family fees affects you as a provider and the families you serve?
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so honored and so happy to be here. And the energy, being around parents' voices, being around the children advocating for themselves. And Makai, I will be voting for you and supporting you on the campaign trail. As a family childcare provider and as a parent myself, seeing the families struggle to cover those family fees has been really rough emotionally. because I understand where the families are coming from. I truly do. I was a single parent for many years. So I really get where they're coming from. And there's been many instances where I did not collect a family fee. And it's a very tough position. And so now getting the letters on the mail that, parents don't have to pay a family fee is like, I looked at these letters and I'm like, yes, these means that this parent is not going to have to tell her son that they're going to be spending all these time in the car over the weekend doing Uber Eats so they can put food on their table and a roof above their heads. And it means that some of my students are not going to be forced to move back across the border. This is something that I have shared in the past in different forums. It happens, in these communities across the border where families are forced to move across the border and get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to make a line for 3, 4, 5 hours every day. And no child and no parent should have to go through that. So that means that one particular student is not going to be forced not to have a place of their own. She's 9 years old. And it was until recently that mom was able to save up money through these, 3 years that she didn't have to pay a family fee. She saved up money for a deposit for his month rent. And now this 9-year-old has had a place of her own for the last, 6 months, I believe. Something that was never possible. They lived across the border in someone else's home, or they lived on this side of the borders inside someone's home in one room, having no access to a kitchen or a bathroom. So for me to know that these families are not going to be struggling, it's a beautiful feeling. It's something that you have to live it to really truly understand it. And like I said, this other student is going to be spending time at the park on the weekends instead of spending time in the car supporting his mom while she's doing Uber Eats. And these children being so in tune with their parents' emotions and feelings, which actually puts a toll on their mental health and their emotional well-being. So this is amazing. And this is something that we fought so hard for. And I want to say that whenever we came together, whether at the steps of the Capitol or local actions, the energy, the love that we received and the love that we gave and the joy of seeing each other and embracing each other is beautiful. But the reason why we came together was not and hasn't been is this anguish every day of the unknown. And now knowing that these families are getting these letters, that we family childcare providers are getting these letters, because having these conversations with the parents has never been something that I look forward to. And as much as you want to support the parent and tell them, hey, I got you, no worries, you don't have to pay the family fee. The feelings that these parents felt, of course, they felt gratitude, but at the same time, they felt that they were not meeting the needs of their children and that they were not meeting their own, that they were not fulfilling their responsibilities. So again, no parent should be put in that position. And family childcare providers having to have these very uncomfortable conversations with the parents that bring so much stress and oftentimes when providers are not able to build rapport with the families, parents would just walk away because they did not have the means to pay the family fees and they did not want to be put in that position to have that uncomfortable conversations that made them feel inadequate. So now we don't have to have these conversations, and we're going to continue to fight for these children and these families and for family childcare providers, because we are a team And we wouldn't be here today without all the love and support, Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez Reyes, and all these amazing legislators that have supported us all. Much love and gratitude to every single one of them. To my CCPU brothers and sisters, of course, all the love and all the solidarity. We are here today to celebrate, but also not to forget that the fight continues, because as it was mentioned earlier, this is the equitable family fee, the new methodology. We still continue to fight for the alternative payment methodology for family childcare providers, because we cannot continue to subsidize the subsidy system. Thank you so much for having me, and much love to every single one of you.
Thank you, Miren. We will continue to work in solidarity with our provider siblings, because this system for far too long has been subsidized on the backs of childcare providers and childcare teachers across the state by keeping your wages low, and it was subsidized on the backs of working families, predominantly Black and brown families, through these unaffordable family fees. So the fees we've got addressed, but we got to keep working on rates. So we truly appreciate you. I think we just lost Monique and Makai. I don't know if they just went off camera or if we lost their internet. Esperanza, do you want to talk, just, bringing Ezekiel with you? Oh, there's Monique. And okay, sorry. I'm going to go back to Monique real quick. You were at that 2019 Parent Voices Leadership Retreat, where we came up with the crazy idea that we wanted to get rid of family fees. We thought everyone would think it was too radical. There's no way we could pass it. And here we are 4 years later. We're talking about families graduating school, moving into better housing, decreased mental health struggles, getting rid of second jobs, support for their children and their family needs. Like, what does it feel like to be a part of that? I don't think we really thought about that when we were sitting there coming up with the idea, but how does it feel for you, Monique? And watching your son, basically take over everything in a good way.
Sorry, what was the question again? I got a little
Sorry,
distracted.
it was like, what is it? You were there in 2019 at our leadership retreat. Now you're seeing all these benefits for all of these families. How does that feel for you?
It feels really good to know like we're a part of a team that can actually make this type of huge movement across the state, and a lot of people want to follow in our lead. I'm proud to be a part of Parent Voices. It's started out in 2019 and changed my life. So, and just to see like how strong and powerful we are together, just shows like we can do anything. And so, I'm really proud of Makai, just that he gets to witness this and, grow up and become his own leader, and be a parent leader when he has kids.
Yes.
He's leading already, so I don't think he's got to wait. He can just be the leader he is right now. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I just
Do
want
you
to
have
say
any-
that.
Yeah, please.
It's okay. He said that he keeps cutting out, that's why our video would disappear.
Oh, okay. You want to close out the panel, Makai, with final words?
Yes, I'm trying to find a way. Maybe we can react to the thing on the phone.
Oh, she wants to know if you have any last words about the campaign and what
did you say you wanted to work on next? Now that we checked off family fees, you had an idea of something you want to work on next.
It was those taxes, not the ones when you buy something. I'm talking about the ones that come out of your debit card.
Mm-hmm. Or your paycheck.
Your paycheck.
Yeah.
Yes, things like rental, because a lot of times it's very, very expensive.
Yeah. So you wanted to lower taxes for families who couldn't afford it, and you wanted to make housing more affordable for families, because you said like a house for $1,000 could be, that's a lot of money, but you don't really get a lot of house, right? So if we could lower the cost of housing and have better housing.
Yes, because a lot of times you basically you're renting a house for a long time, and you want to save up money while having that house because you have nowhere to live. If you're in that situation, a lot of time like the best decision when you're in that situation is when is that you have to actually move because
Right.
because the rental is so expensive that you're gonna run out of money in under a year.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Makai. That is why we need to listen to the youth and we have to listen to the families, and we hope that at least this family fee relief is going to help families, pay their rent, maybe move and find better housing in a safer neighborhood, whatever it is. We just hope that families are able to live better lives, right? So I want to thank all of our panelists.
Can I add to that, Mary? I'm sorry, my battery died. Is there time?
Yeah, I can't see you, but yes.
Oh, sorry.
You're going to close us out because we have to move to the next.
I just wanted to say that we definitely need to keep fighting for childcare, because even though we want it, that doesn't mean that it'll look like this next year. That's all. I think the fight is something that is ongoing, and we're blessed to be where we're at. And with all the hard work that you all have been leading, I think that we have to continue our fight for childcare, and definitely agree with the housing piece for sure.
Yeah. And there still remains, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children who are eligible for childcare and are not receiving it because we're not funding the system and we're not paying the providers enough to open and expand programs or build new programs. So yes, the fight is not over. So thank you all. And we are going to now introduce the incredible director of the Department of Social Services, Director Kim Johnson. She's one of us, right? She knows this cause personally and is doing everything at the largest Department of Social Services in the nation to make the system really center the voice of families. And her extraordinary partnership really helped us get this across the finish line. So we wanted to give you a chance to share share your thoughts and yeah.
Well, I am just tremendously honored to be amongst all of this leadership here this evening. Thank you, Esperanza, Karina, Valerie, Monique, Makai, and Miran for sharing your stories and what this has meant to you. Yes, it is another mechanism to make the access to quality early learning programs for California's families more accessible. But as was put, it's also helping get the access to increase educational opportunities, improving mental health and well-being, and reducing stress, as Esperanza and Karina mentioned, and disrupting poverty now and into the future. So it's just a tremendous privilege at the Department of Social Services to be part of this. You heard what it means in terms of the reform and what it means to resources into families' pockets. I also want to thank the leadership of the legislature, Assemblywoman Gomez-Reyes and Senator Limon and the Women's Caucus. And obviously this is part of a broader agenda that the governor has for children and families. And so I just thank you. It is my job as a public servant to listen to the people. And I just want to thank each and every one of you who took those train and plane and bus rides to Sacramento and really sharing your story. We listened, and as a result, this is what the governor and legislature did together. It's so powerful, your voice. And so just please keep bringing your voice. I too will be out in community to hear from you directly, and as my responsibility to you in this role. So congratulations, Parent Voices, for this huge accomplishment and achievement. To the point that Mary made earlier, continue to dream big, ask for those bold and really significant changes, because we can do it together and we are doing it together. So I thank you all for lending your voice to an impact that has made the lives of so many children and families strengthened and better because of your voice. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you this evening.
Amazing, thank you. And we know, along with childcare, there are a host of other wins from the Department of Social Services, because we're serving whole children, whole families, and addressing all their needs at the same time. So grateful for your partnership. You know, you'll see us again. We'll be at your knocking at your door with more solutions and ideas, and I'm sure you're going to open. Wonderful, thank you. So next we're gonna move to Q&A. I mean, Director Johnson is going to stay here. We're going to bring back Laura and Eric, and we're going to end. I think Dr. Lupe Jaime Millam is here also. She wants to come on, and then we want to bring on Lori Furstenfeld from the Child Care Law Center. And many of you, you know, we get an idea of how to, you know, parents come up with a solution of something they want to change in the system, and the first person we call is Lori and her friends at the Child Care Law Center, and they help us, you know, she helps like write the legislation and help us come up with all the fancy policy words to get through the legislative and budget process. So we're really happy to have all of you here. I saw, Lori, do you want to say anything before we go into some questions?
Sure, I just want to just celebrate with all of you. This is such a tremendous win, and it's been such an honor working with the parents, the providers, with our legislative partners, Assemblymember Gomez Reyes and Senator Limon and CDSS. I feel like everybody was 100% behind this bill, and the parents really made it a huge success. So thank you for including us in on this, and we were so excited, and it was just our pleasure and our honor to write the legislation.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, so one question that came in was, are the income requirements changing in 2024? Anybody want to take that?
And feel free to add Dr. Jaime Milam here to the spotlight too, to help here. But again, I just want to appreciate the Budget and Policy Center for putting this into dollars and amounts. The income eligibility to be able to be eligible for childcare is not changing. But again, want to emphasize the point that was made earlier, that while family fees are being reduced for families, the revenue that would have otherwise gone to the workforce in the early childhood and child care and development programs is still stable, and you will be kept whole. So I want to make sure to emphasize that as well.
Yeah, and that was a campaign we fought for too, was updating those income guidelines every year. So July 1st, those income guidelines increase it, well, when the SMI gets updated, the state median income gets updated. Blake or Amaranta, are there any questions coming in from the Facebook chat?
There are not. We just had that question about the income guidelines, but maybe we'll give it a couple seconds. People have been mostly just excited. There's a lot more excitement than there are questions. So, but we'll wait a second. We still have quite a few people watching on the Facebook video. So we'll, yeah, maybe hang out for a second.
Okay, drop them in the comment, drop it in the chat if you see something. Lupe, is there anything you wanted to offer that hasn't been said, or just you want to say?
Just again, I just want to echo the sentiment of celebrations. That, you know, this is historic in every aspect of, you know, this work, and want to just make sure that everyone realizes that your voice matters, and there's so much more coming, right? So thank you everyone for this work, and again, just so proud of just being able to work alongside everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are going to drop links in the chat to some videos that the Child Care Law Center has created about knowing your rights around subsidized childcare. We're going to put those in the Facebook chat as well. Another question that came in is this victory of eliminating family fees unique to California, or are there other states where parents also don't have to pay family fees? I know New Mexico is a state that families do not have to pay fees, and that's because of a 10-year organizing campaign led by our friends at Olay in New Mexico. And they were able to win a constitutional amendment to their state to have a revenue source to pay for childcare. And that was a big, huge win. The voters voted in support of it. So again, strong parent and provider organizing gets the goods. And I don't know, does anyone know of other states who eliminated fees permanently like we did?
I know North Dakota did something very similar to California.
Okay, so that might be 3
But
states.
I haven't seen any states that have had such a robust protections for the providers to ensure that they get paid in full and that there's no reduction in slots on account of the reduction of family fees. So I think that was a really strong piece of our legislation.
Yes. Another question, will this affect how many families can get subsidized childcare?
To ensure that they get paid in full and that there's no reduction in slots.
We are continuing to increase access to affordable quality early learning opportunities in California. So we have a commitment within the administration and legislature to add, not just a number, add 200,000 childcare subsidies in just the alternative payment program and general childcare programs combined over the next a couple of years to reach that additional 200,000 childcare subsidies for families in California. So we are not trading things here. We are additive. We are adding childcare subsidies. We are reducing family fees. We are increasing rates for the workforce. We are doing these things collectively, recognizing that all are needed to have a robust and strong childcare and early learning system in California. So all of the above and more to come.
Yes, and also something that was part of the law that in eliminating family fees or greatly reducing them, it would not impact slots or a reduction in slots. So that got included too. So we're really proud of. I think if there are other questions, leave them in the chat, keep them in the comments on Facebook. We will bring them back to our esteemed panelists to get answers, and we will share them with all of you. One of the other questions that came in was, is the elimination of family fees permanent, or will we have to advocate for this legislation to be renewed periodically? I believe we've got it. It's on the books, barring any weird changes, but if there are, we've got to organize and win it back. That is just the name of this game. We can't just, feel like we can just say we're done. We are not. There's much more transformation that this system needs. And so we invite all of you who are here or are watching on Facebook Live. We're going to drop some links to join us. We have committees within Parent Voices around childcare, CalWORK, immigrant rights, children with special needs. If you're a survivor of domestic violence, there are many issues that we need strong, powerful parent leaders to join this fight, identify the solutions that matter to you, and then let's have fun and go win them. It's like nothing can stop us. We just have to be organized and strong and working collectively together and with our partners and allies. And so we're grateful to all of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for celebrating with us. This is just an incredible moment. We're going to play some music and dance our way out of this event, because if they get us for copyright, then we finish the event. But we want everyone to just go on, put your face on, come on camera. I don't care if you're cooking dinner or, whatever you're doing. Let's just play some music, dance, and just be so proud of the impact we've all had on families and early educators and on each other, because we do this together. Can we go back to gallery view? Yay. All right, I'm sure Evan is working on music. But you can go off mute and just do a little woohoo. And yeah, are we still live on Facebook? We can